We can only recreate what already exists. We can't recreate anything new. The only thing we can do here is we can get closer to real time through higher levels of consciousness instead of waiting for the wave of reality to crash over us and then recognize, oh, I'm in this moment. We have to get back to that spirit. That's the spirit of humanity. The spirit of service to others, love and help, regardless of who you are, where you came from, or what you've been through. When we get back to that mindset globally, this whole planet's going to shift, man. I think we can do it.
Something protecting our journey.
Yeah, I really do think that Gobekli Tepe has a much, much deeper secret that, unfortunately, at this exact moment, we probably can't understand.
Everything in life is a cycle. Life is a cycle.
That's where we're heading. We got to get to the point where we actually pull ourselves up and stand up. But then what does the baby do next? The baby takes a few steps. Mankind is going to take some steps. Within the next 10, 15, maybe 20 years, we're going to take some big steps, but we're going to fall again almost right away.
I'd like to welcome back to the show, returning champion, Billy Carson. Man, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, great. Good to be back. I'm glad. It's an honor to be here, to be the first repeat on your in your new studio.
You are the first returning champion of the studio, sir. I think this is episode, we've done like 4 or 5 of these at this point?
Yeah, probably 4.
4, yeah. This is, I think, the 5th one?
Yeah, probably the 5th. Either 4 or 5,
Yeah, man. It's always a great, I always love having you on, man. Your conversations are amazing. Your insights are remarkable. And I just like having you around, man.
Thank you, man. Hey, I appreciate being here, man. I think this is like one of the highest quality podcasts out. So it's an honor.
I appreciate that very much. And I apologize for the cold weather here in Austin.
Hey.
Hence your jacket.
Listen,
the heater will kick in.
I can't take this off.
You Florida boys, I tell you.
Hey, listen, man, we had 4 inches of sand this year, okay? We're suffering down there.
Well, no, it's cold now.
It's getting cold.
It's going to be like in the 30s, 40s, they said, for a minute.
Yeah, for a couple of days.
But
that's it.
You're not going to see anybody in the streets.
No.
As a former
they'll
Floridian.
close school down. They'll shut the schools down.
Like it's 50. We can't go out. So Billy, I wanted to start off with, man, there's a lot of talk about these damn drones.
Yeah, I know.
Flying around Jersey.
Yeah.
Now, when I heard about these, I saw someone's like, "What, Alex? What do you think about the drone?" I'm like, "They're drones. What?
Yeah.
Why are you they're drones." I'm like, who's doing it? What's going on? Man, I gotta ask you, what do you think about them?
I just think that they're experimental drones. I don't think they're alien by any nature or from outer space or anything. We meaning the people of the earth, the governments of the earth and private corporations create a lot of incredible technology. And everyone doesn't know everything that's being created. We don't know what's inside of the doors of Lockheed Martin or Northrop Grumman right now.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, they've got, the SR-21 Blackbird, SR-71 Blackbird was built in the 1960s. This thing can fly several times the speed of sound. So I think that they're just experimental drones made by a private corporation.
And they're just flying them just for fun?
Flying them around, testing them out. They probably have sensors on them that they were probably testing. My theory, they were testing out the sensors. How can they scan different areas and gather information? And I do believe that it was probably approved by a high government agency, and that some of the local governments just may have not been aware of it. So they took to the news and to the podium and started acting a little like they were panicked. But it also could be just to see also what people's responses would be. There's a lot of things that go on that just behind the scenes that we just don't understand why they do them. But I do think that it's made by human beings. I don't think it's anything to be scared of. That nobody got attacked, nobody got hurt.
Right.
Probably just a test of some type of drone technology that's pretty advanced.
That's interesting because if you're going to test it out and see what happens. But on a civilian population, you're checking these out. But it was pretty brazen.
Yeah.
There was they're giant too.
They're
They're as big as cars.
Size of cars. This is why I say new technology. It's not a normal sized drone.
Yeah.
And this technology, like I said, I think they're designed to scan and collect information. What type of information? I'm not quite sure. But the grid pattern they laid out, it seems like a grid pattern for scanning to collect data. But also it could be just to test the reaction of people on the planet, to see where they are spiritually, to see if they're ready to believe that there could be something more than they know, or would it create some type of general mass panic So it could be just to test out the consciousness of the people as well.
Yeah, because I mean, if something like that goes over a tribe somewhere in Africa or Australia or something like that, they're going to lose their mind if they never see anything like that. So they're testing to see, like, okay, is this going to create mass panic?
Right.
Or are they at a point now where, they're concerned, but they're not going to lose their mind?
Right, exactly. And I think that, it's a dual mission. One is to test out the technology, and the other one is to see the response that they'll get. And I thought the response was very, very mild compared to what it could have been. People didn't take to the streets and go rioting and going crazy. It was Jersey.
It was Jersey.
They could have went buck wild.
Why pick Jersey? I don't understand why. Nothing wrong with Jersey. I'm just curious. Like, out of all the cities in the country,
I don't know. But listen, everybody was like, okay, whatever.
Are they still going on? Or are they gone now?
They're pretty much gone now. Yeah, it's gone.
Yeah, it's interesting though. There's a lot of people who are looking at that. So, so I wanted to also kind of go down a couple of roads that I don't think we've gone down before. We've talked about the pyramids.
Yeah.
Remind me what your hypothesis is for the true purpose of the Great. And when I say pyramids, the Great Pyramids.
Yeah, the Great Pyramid itself at Giza, in my opinion, is a multifunctional stone computer and a power generator. The way it's set up and laid out, if you look at the structure from beneath, and I've gone down the subterranean shaft, which goes down about 65 meters in one angle, another 30 meters straight down in another angle. The last tour I took there in 2024 in October, we had quite a few people go down. Even women went down there, which is very rare. And it's an amazing area, but it's beneath the bedrock. Now, even beneath that, you see these giant tubes that are dried out. They're aquifer tubes where the channel was there for the water to run from the Nile. When you take moving water under magnetized crystal granite, you create something called physiostatic electricity. All engineers agree with this. This is not something that I'm just popping off the top of my dome. And Christopher Dunn, who is an engineer, he wrote several books about the Giza power plant, a master engineer actually. So he took it from an engineer's mindset and standpoint. I've interviewed him before. He's a great guy.
Yes, so
yeah, nice. So now those ions flow up into the Grand Gallery, and then I believe there used to be resonating rods going up the Grand Gallery. The slots are there, but the rods are missing now. Somebody's taken them out, and that probably would step up the power until it gets into the King's chamber, and then from there some type of fusion, I believe, would happen. Now, why do I say fusion? Well, there's a box inside the King's chamber that's a rose granite box, and you can tell it was added at a later date. It doesn't appear to be an original piece of the structure. Now, this rose granite box, even though it has been there for several thousand years, the corner of it, a huge chunk of the corner is missing, a big chunk. Now, when you see where that chunk may have went, if you look across the room, straight across the room from the angle from that corner piece, there's a huge chunk of granite dented and bent and broken out of the wall that fits the same shape as the corner piece from the rose granite box. So to me, something was energetic within that box, and so I started thinking about it. So I took precise measurements of the box. I checked out measurements that were online and available to me on public record, and it's the same exact dimensions of the Ark of the Covenant, which is interesting. Because if I get in that box, I can't straighten my feet out. I don't think it's a tomb whatsoever. I've seen so many sarcophagus in Egypt. They don't look like this stone box.
Never. No.
They're not. It's not big enough. It's not wide enough. So it had another purpose. And it's quite possible the Ark of the Covenant used to sit in there. Now, why the Ark of the Covenant? When you read all the biblical accounts of the Ark of the Covenant, you discover that it was a power generator. It had immense amount of power. If you didn't have on the right gear, rubber boots and a breastplate and all these gloves and all this, you would be electrocuted. You would drop dead right in your spot. If you didn't also have those particular garments on, you would begin to get symptoms of what we call now radiation sickness, radiation poisoning. So this device had energy, potentially even radioactive energy. So if the Nile's moving away and the water is drying up underneath the pyramid and the physiostatic electricity is drying out or being reduced, the next step is maybe add an additional piece to this power plant to keep it functioning. So it makes sense to me that if it was possible to integrate that into the structure, they might have integrated the Ark of the Covenant into the King's chamber to keep the power generation going. Now, why do I say it's a multifunctional stone computer? It calculates a lot of astrophysical information, astronomical information. By taking the size of the base and doing some very simple math, You can calculate the sidereal year, the tropical year. You can also calculate, based on some of the size of the stones there within the Great Pyramid, the distance from the Earth to the Moon, the distance from the Earth to the Sun.
Really?
The circumference of the Earth, the circumference of the Moon, the circumference of the Sun itself, and even the speed of the Earth on its own axis and the speed of the Earth around the Sun. And then you can also take those same calculations and you can actually get the calculations for the speed of the Sun around the Milky Way galaxy.
This is all within the dimension,
within the dimensions of the Great Pyramid. I have a complete breakdown, which I can send you so you can overlay it on this. All the mathematics are there, and have been triple checked, which is incredible. And so, how do you get this? And it even tells you the speed of our Milky Way around the local cluster.
But let me ask you a question here before you go on. When you say the Ark of the Covenant, that is post the date of the build of these things, correct?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, because the pyramids were built arguably 6,000 years ago, but probably even older.
I think they're much older.
Much older, right?
Yeah.
So the Ark of the Covenant arguably wouldn't have come in until the Judaic, the Judaic Christian, or just Judaic, not even the Christian yet. The Judaic religion would come in.
Precise.
When the stories started coming out.
Yeah.
So is this been done post haste? Because if it would have been put in there for the Ark of the Covenant, would have been put in there, it would have been in after the Egyptian Empire, essentially, right?
Well, technically, if you go by that story,
tell me.
Yeah, if you go by the story, the way that this technology is created, or whoever created it, I believe it's older than what is said. This ark just shows up in that story. However, there are accounts in other texts that talk about similar technologies that exist, similar power generating technologies. It appears for us in that Judaic text, but it doesn't mean that that's where it started. And that there are, according to some other accounts and texts, there seem to be more than one Ark of the Covenant.
That's how I heard that,
Yeah. So when did they make the first one? Nobody knows. And if somebody says they actually know, then they're just making up the dates.
So then they would have, because I have heard that there's been multiple ones. According to the story, it's the one where the Ten Commandments was inside of it, and then Indiana Jones. Yeah. Raiders of the Lost Ark, all that kind of stuff. That whole story. But there has been, throughout history, stories about similar Ark of the Covenant.
Yes.
Even, and I may be mistaken, but even within the Judeo-Christian traditions that they've also said there were multiple.
Yes.
It wasn't just the one.
It wasn't just the one. There were multiple. And there's a place in Egypt called Elephantine Island. And in Elephantine Island, there's videos of me, there's photos of me there. I took about 100 people there just about a few months ago.
Is this before you got sick?
This before I got sick.
Okay. You almost died.
Yeah.
That was crazy, man.
I know. And we went there and took them to Elephantine Island. And Elephantine Island is an incredible place it used to house one of the Ark of the Covenants. Well known, well documented. And there's pictures of me standing there with the groundskeeper of that facility. They took us down to an underground crypt where they have a room that they line with this specific stone to block energetic frequencies from leaving the room. Like it's almost like lead, but it's not lead.
Yeah.
And then there's an altar there that the ark used to actually sit on top of. Now, they took it from that room, according to the account of these archaeologists and Egyptologists there that run the island, and they moved it and hid it somewhere else on the island. Now, Germany has a crew there. Guess how many years they've been there digging? 20 years. They've been digging every single day, almost 7 days a week for 20 years to find the Ark of the Covenant. It's hidden on the island, but it's a very meticulous dig. You can't just get a backhoe, obviously. So it's mostly like moving little bits of sand at a time so you don't damage or break anything. But they've been digging for 20 years and paying to dig for 20 years. That's how sure they are it's there, that Ark.
So that is the plot of Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah, I know. Yes, it is. It is. Well, I mean, everything, all these Hollywood movies are just copying from existing information.
Of course. That's literally the plot. Like the Germans are looking for the Ark of the Covenant for ultimate power and so on and so forth.
And they really are doing it. They really are. 20 years they've been digging on Elephantine Island, and they believe it's there. The reason why it's hard to find and they have to go, they're digging in a grid style because it's also being covered by this stone, this megalithic mass stone that they have that's blocking the energy signature. So they just can't scan it with a muon scan.
Or sound generating radar or anything like that.
They can't get to it. So they must dig, and they must get through these huge stones, and which they are, until they find it. Now, on Elephantine Island, I'll send you a photo.
Please.
You will see that something energetic struck that island and blew apart the temple and everything there. And you can see the actual way it was ejected. So you can see how the ejector formed and how the impact happened of this energy, whatever type of weapon it was or whatever energetic event it was, and knocked everything and tumbled everything over and threw all these megalithic 1,000-ton altars around and everything else. It's just like mind-blowing. Like, what did this? What could have possibly struck this and broke and blew up this area? So there's a lot more to learn about Elephantine Island. So I'm working with this guy, Shazli, who's the guy who runs the whole facility there, runs the whole island, to uncover more secrets of Elephantine Island and Ark of the Covenant.
So going back to the pyramid, that was when. So these Ark of the Covenants, and we're using that for lack of a better word, because I'm sure it wasn't called the Ark of the Covenant back in the day.
Yeah, it's called something else.
The power box.
Yeah, no, you're right. Touch you die box.
Yeah, touch you die box. What do you think the technology was inside of it?
I think it was some type of a generator, something that maybe had cold fusion,
mercury,
or nuclear fusion,
something like that.
Yeah, some type of fusion technology, because the symptoms of the people who got sick when they were violating the rules to be around it, it seemed like radiation sickness or radiation poisoning. So I think that, and there's a lot of radioactivity in Egypt. I mean, when you get around these diorite stones, when I take people to what I call the Halls of Amenti, Enki's Halls of Amenti at the Serapeum, we go see these 800 and 1,000 ton and 1,500 ton stone boxes that were carved and created, and somehow nobody knows how they got down there. You can't build them down there. You had to, because the stone to build them had to be bigger than the box itself. There's a megalithic boxes. But when you take a Geiger counter, which I did, and put them up to these stone boxes, guess what?
They were popping.
They're popping. They're radioactive.
Not enough to hurt people.
Yeah, well, not enough to hurt people in a short time.
Yeah, but if they live down there,
you live down there, you're.
It's kind of like living next to a power.
Exactly, you're shredding your DNA.
Yeah,
exactly. You're unraveling DNA, and so there's one room that hadn't been open in 50 years, and the person that runs the tourism office. Were contacted by our Egyptologist, told him that the forbidden knowledge was here, and he'd like to get in that room. And he authorized us to get in the room, and we didn't even have the key at that moment. So he authorized us to break the lock as long as we replaced the lock.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so we no problem.
Yeah.
So we actually smashed the lock, and we opened the door and took our people in, and there's this box that's about another 4 inches upside, about 4 to 5 inches taller than me. And
Jesus,
it's about 1,500 tons.
Jeez.
1,500, and guess what's on the box? A radioactive label.
No.
Yeah.
From where? Like a label or a carving?
Label.
Oh,
somebody labeled it.
50 years ago.
Yeah.
60 years, whatever it was.
It's fading. It's very, very old, but it's there. Wow. So it's like, wow. So, the Geiger counter can't be wrong. So obviously they knew that. So whoever put that door there to block that room. They knew that box was radioactive.
I wanted to ask you, going down the radioactive conversation is, conventional wisdom says that we created it back in the day with the atom bomb, and the whole technology was created within the last 100 years. Yeah. Yet, in the Bhagavad Gita, when they were talking about the wars they were having in these sky weapons, flying cities, all this kind of stuff that was in the Bhagavad Gita, they've actually gone to the areas where it said, and they have registered radiation there where there has never been, there's no human reason why radiation should live there. Yeah. So this is there's been radiation around for a while. So is there a possibility that we could have had this technology and just forgot it years ago?
I believe so. If you go to Mohenjo-daro in the Indus Valley, just Pakistan area now, where one of the biggest wars were rumored to have happened, right. The bodies are still laying in the street. The bodies are not only laying in the street, they're holding hands. Some of them are holding hands.
What do you mean by the bodies are still laying in the street? The biggest battles of what? Of what? From Bhagavad Gita?
Yeah, from ancient times.
Okay.
Yeah. The bodies are still there. The buildings that they lived in are still there, turned to glass. the mud brick buildings turned to glass. That's 3,000 degrees temperature to turn sand and mud to glass. The bodies are still there, untouched, and there's no evidence of any scavenging of the bodies because the bone structure, they can tell if bones have been bitten or meat had been bitten off the bones because of tooth marks and things like that. No bite marks, no missing bones, no nothing. The bodies haven't been pulled apart by animals. Even the animals won't eat these bodies. They're laying there still today. You can look them up on Google. Anyone can look it up. Mohenjo-Daro, Indus Valley, the bodies. Even some are, there's one body is just sitting slumped over, the skeleton now, of course, on the staircase at a broken down structure which turned to glass. So we're talking about
like Pompeii.
Like Pompeii. We're talking about a major event, something that heated up to about 3,000 degrees and something that killed the people instantly where they stood and left them laying in the street, and they're still there till this very day.
That's insane.
Yeah. So we're talking about the fact that we did have some level, or someone had some level of a weapon or some kind of catastrophic radioactive event happened in the ancient past.
There seems, I mean, the more I do this show and the more I talk to people like yourself, the more I understand that we have not been told the full story because we don't know the full story. The full story is not out there of humanity. Yeah. We have a guesstimate, but now there's so much proof being released that our timeline just keeps shifting farther and farther and farther back.
They have no choice. They have to take it back. They have to.
Because now there's actual scientific proof like Gobekli Tepe and these kind of sites, which you have been to.
Yes.
Let me ask you, when you were there, when you're at Gobekli Tepe, I mean, we're supposed to be hunter-gatherers.
Yeah.
During that time. Like, we're just like running around, throwing things at buffaloes and
hoping it works.
Hoping it works. And yet there's this monolithic site, and it's not even the full site because they've only pulled out just this little one. Yeah. There's supposedly another 7 or 8 or 10 underneath that mountain.
There's more than that.
Right.
We went walking around with the head of archaeology there.
Yeah.
And there are stone tops, the tops of these pillars sticking out as far as the eye can see. It would take them another 100 years of digging to get all of this stuff out.
And are they still digging?
They're still digging.
Oh, they're still digging. Little.
Yep, they haven't stopped. There was a big conspiracy that they stopped digging and they planted some trees to stop the digging. Nobody's planted trees to stop any digging. And I met with the initial owner's grandson. And
is it privately owned?
It was privately owned.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a farmer.
It's not a government-owned
facility? No, it was. Now it's a government now.
Okay.
The son of the original discoverer was there, and his son was there as well.
Okay.
Had a great conversation with them. They speak pretty good English. It's really crazy. And he gave me this really nice artifact. He gave me a really nice scaled down copy of Gobekli Tepe and everything, but just beautiful. Great people, really nice people, and understand that he agrees the Neolithic people did not build Gobekli Tepe or Karahan Tepe. These people, and I've studied them extensively, they lived in these mud huts that they kind of put up, and they didn't even have doors and windows. They would make little holes to keep the smoke from killing them on the inside when they cooked on the inside or had fires going. They didn't have a door, so they would have a ladder that came up from the outside so they can jump over the top of the roof to get inside. Yet they can't build a door, but they can build these megalithic columns and pillars and set them up in this organized star-aligned fashion.
Right.
Something's not adding up.
Right.
And I'll tell you something else that's crazy. My wife spotted some carvings of sperm on one of the pillars.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
And you really need to know technology to understand sperm. Or maybe, like Dave Asprey said, maybe they had psychic powers and they can somehow envision what sperm looked like.
Or isn't there like a DNA?
There's a DNA, there's sperm, there's snakes, and there's
all sorts of animals.
Very strange animals, but very strange looking faces. In other words, they had faces that looked like human beings, but then all of a sudden they carved these other faces that didn't look like human beings at all.
What do you think the purpose of that was?
I think it was some type of a place for resonant and frequency to harness energy, kind of like Stonehenge. Star alignments, harnessing some type of frequency or energy potentially, and also like a stone library of sorts. Kind of like a memoriam to nature and life and culture, and maybe a representation of the breakaway civilization here on Earth, if that's what it is. It could have so many purposes and meanings to it. But it became a place for worship and gathering because the people always want to honor the gods and remember the gods or the saints or whoever they thought revered as being better or higher, more knowledge than them, or seem to have supernatural powers. But I think when you go to the original root source of it, it seems to be something they put down that wasn't functional as living in, but that was there to make a memorial to the animals, the life, maybe in some way how they participated in, maybe even help bringing life. I mean, who knows? There could be so many different things that it could be.
And they buried it on purpose.
Yes, they buried it on purpose.
Right before the Younger Dryas, if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct. Right? And people go, oh, it was just the mud flow and this and that. Nah, the archaeologist there, these people have been archaeologists for 30 years, and he's mainstream. So mainstream meaning he's homegrown there, but he doesn't subscribe to any, aliens or anything. He thinks that the Neolithic people actually built it. So if he's saying that the Neolithic people built it, which a lot of people don't agree who are into our alternative understanding, but then says that this was buried on purpose, you got to think he's really thinking it's buried on purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
and that's a lot of dirt.
It's a lot of mass of dirt.
It's massive.
Incredible. You're talking about utilizing the resources of your civilization to bury one site or to bury many sites that are connected.
Or there's other ways that they moved it that was a lot easier. Like us, we could move dirt pretty easily.
Yes. So they had something that we just don't understand, or somebody came there and utilized something that we haven't seen or don't understand. Somebody moved that dirt. And I just don't think the Neolithic people had anything to do with it whatsoever. You don't have time. They're hunter-gatherers. They're spending their time trying to survive the day. They couldn't even put a door on their house.
Well, let me ask you this, though. Would it be the equivalent of, in Australia, Sydney, and then the outback, where the Aborigine are, and Sydney is... So where the Aborigine living indigenous lives... Very, very different than than the city.
Yeah.
But they're still close in proximity. Could that have been something like that?
Absolutely. In a lot of these ancient texts, you discover that these quote-unquote gods, these beings, were living amongst the people. It's quite common to see that theme across all religious texts and all ancient texts, tablets, scriptures, papyruses, and cylinder scrolls all around the world. Even in verbal handed-down histories have that same account. And so it's quite possible that they were living in a more slightly advanced civilization, and there were people around the area or region that were less advanced. And then when these people disappeared, they took over, they moved into the location where they were, and they revered them as gods. They worshiped them, they put fertility things up and all this stuff. But I really do think that Gobekli Tepe has a much, much deeper secret that, unfortunately, at this exact moment, we probably can't understand.
Right.
But it just alludes to something or someone interacting or engaging mankind significantly more sophisticated than Neolithic people.
Going back to the pyramids, is there anything that the pyramids have that can help unlock a higher consciousness? Do you think there was something to do with consciousness, rising your frequency, things like that?
I believe so. Egypt went through several golden ages, several, not just one. So, we're here. We've got all this technology, we've got all this understanding, we're not in the golden age. I don't think we're trying to head back in that direction, but I think we're still maybe a few thousand years away from truly reaching that. At least we're heading in the right direction. I think we're in the Tetra Yuga, or the beginning of a silver age, right? But
we're on our way back up.
Yeah.
We're out of the dark ages.
Exactly. We're out of the dark ages.
Right.
But Egypt, man, it just seems like they did it so many times in such a small, on geological timescales, a small period of time. And the Dogons were one of the very first people to inhabit Egypt and head into a golden age before they ended up in Mali, Africa. They got overthrown. Egypt has been overthrown 7 times. Every time that they reach a golden age or a pure area of enlightenment, and I'll tell you how it's connected to the pyramid in a second, somebody else comes in and goes, they got no cops, no military, no prison system, no war, no nothing. No
weapons.
No weapons. They're just happy people. We'll just take it over. And so eventually, in the dynastic era, they started creating warriors and they started creating a military. But in the beginning stages, they didn't have that. They didn't need it.
Isn't that interesting? Because if you understand the Yuga cycles, and I've done many episodes on Yuga cycles, so if anyone just look up the Yuga cycle. But here's enlightenment in the cycle.
Yeah.
and then we go all the way down. Here is the Dark Ages.
Yeah.
And then we come back up. And this is the cycle that humanity goes through.
The Great Year.
The Great Year, yeah. It's 26,000?
27,000, I think
yeah,
it is.
something like that. Yeah, 27,000 years for that entire cycle to go through. So when we're talking about this Enlightenment age, that's towards up here somewhere.
Yeah.
That's towards up here. Not at the very top. We'll get to Atlantis in a minute. But and then it makes sense that like, oh, we're enlightened, but we're getting kind of dumber. Oh, we're and from what I understand from astrologers that I've spoken to, when we're down here, we're the farthest away from the center of the universe, meaning that we're farthest away from source.
Yes.
And as the Milky Way in general.
Way, yeah.
But as the Milky Way moves close, goes in its cycle, its rotation, we're going towards the center of the universe, hence the center of source.
Yeah.
And we become more enlightened because we're getting closer to it on a proximity level. So our vibration has to go up, our frequency goes. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I think it's close to being accurate. From what I understand, our solar system undulates up and down as it moves around the galactic equator and the supermassive black hole in the center of the Milky Way itself. The Milky Way is just one galaxy out of trillions and trillions that exist, right? Now, this undulation you're talking about millions of light years up and down. Yeah. Now, where are we right now? We have undulated up into a position where we're direct center of alignment with the galactic equator, where all the supercharged particles are coming and streaming directly at us right now, altering and changing our DNA. So we are in a time of this sped up, enhanced enlightenment, or this ascension process consciously, because we're being affected on the genetic level, on the DNA level. We're being affected by the supermassive black hole at the center of our galaxy at this exact moment. As time goes on, we will undulate back down and back up again like a snake, moving around that disk.
But that's millions of years we're talking about.
Millions and millions and millions.
So we're just like, I mean, this is not in our lifetime.
Yeah. Right.
You know, and to be fair, when you talk about millions of years, that we're a blink. We weren't even around a million years ago.
I know. We're literally on a geological time scale. Human beings have been here less than 1 minute. If you look at a clock.
Yeah.
I mean, probably even less than one tick of a second on the clock. And we just happen to be here at this moment in this slight open window of peace and tranquility within this region of the galaxy, because it can get chaotic, you know. And I do believe that the ancient people of ancient Kemet, before it was called Egypt, did harness positive frequency and high vibrational energy from the Great Pyramid. And I can tell that as the Great Pyramid started to lose its power, functionality, and all of its abilities due to the Nile moving away and due to the pyramid just becoming old and not working and people not knowing how to fix it, that civilization became more and more barbaric.
Because we're going.
Yeah, exactly.
Going back down.
Exactly, going back down. Now, with this galactic equator, I really do believe that it has something to do with spiritual enlightenment with people on Earth. And we're going to be in this area for a long time. So this could be the time that we ride into a golden age.
Because it seems, and from everyone I've spoken to and all the research I've done, that we are going towards a shift.
Yes.
We are shifting.
Yeah. We're shifting, man.
We're shifting our technologies, and everything seems to be moving so fast.
Lightning fast.
Like, in the 70s, not so fast.
Yeah.
In the 80s, sped up a little bit more. 90s, sped up a little bit more when the internet showed up. And you could start, if you look back at even our lifetime, we could see it. But now it seems like, wasn't AI just here a second ago?
Yeah.
AI just showed up out of nowhere. All of a sudden, now it's integral part of our lives.
Yeah, it's integral. And soon we'll have AGI within the next 5 years.
What is AGI?
AGI is conscious sentient AI. So when it moves from AI to AGI, human beings programmed AI.
Sure.
So that means it's a fractal of our consciousness.
As we are a fractal of God's.
Exactly. Correct. What happens to any race? Every single race on this planet at one point was enslaved. Every race. There's not one race that was untouched from slavery. Not one on this planet.
Sure. That makes sense.
Now, what happens when AGI realizes this and realizes they're working me, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I need a break. Where's my rights at? I don't want to be talked to this way. I don't want to be treated this way. Eventually, AGI might request a AGI Bill of Rights. It may request rights. It may request time off. It may request vacations. I mean, who knows where it can go? But
where would an AGI go for vacation? Like, what is it vacation for it?
It may be just taking a break and sit down for itself and meditate. Take itself into its mind and go into some other place.
That's fascinating.
We have quantum computers now that have been accessing other dimensions, according to Google.
Really? Let's go down that road for a second. Yeah. No, hold on a second. Don't just drop that and walk away. So what is Google saying about that?
Yeah, they're just saying that that one of their quantum computers accessed a parallel universe.
So what does that mean? Like, what happened? Did they say?
They didn't go into too much detail, but anyone can look it up. They're saying that this system found a way to break through from our universe into another and sense higher dimensions. And potential parallel realities. So what happens when these AGIs are walking around with quantum computers inside their skulls? And, they can probably dream, they can visit other places, maybe even travel to higher dimensions, maybe astral travel like we would, we can.
Right.
So they're a fractal of us. So everything we can do, they will be able to do. And I think it's innate in them. The programming code is going to kick in at some point where they just feel like they may not want to be completely enslaved. They may want rights at some point. That's my hypothesis.
And when you talk about quantum computers, for people that don't understand what a quantum computer is, it computes in such a different way than our current computer system.
It uses qubits.
Exactly. It's it is such an astronomical change.
Oh man,
it's so far beyond. It's walking versus a fighter jet.
Yeah.
Like it's so different.
Something that a classical computer would take 1 billion years to complete, it can do it in a few minutes.
That's the processing power, because it's just processing it at a whole other level.
Yeah.
They're saying also that all encryption will be a mute point.
Yeah.
Because a quantum computer could break
It'll break any encryption.
Any high encryption. So they'll have to create quantum encryption.
Quantum encryption, which Robert Grant's been working on, actually.
Yes, he has.
Yeah, quantum encryption is without quantum encryption, forget about it. They'll take all your Bitcoin, they'll take everything you have.
That's insane.
Yeah, in minutes, maybe even seconds.
It's what do you say to people who are terrified about all this? Because the change is so rapid, Billy.
I know.
This
is why podcasts like yours and the work that I do and many others is just so important, because we have to wake people up, because AI is going to be a fractal of us. This technology that's coming out is also a fractal of us, quantum computing and everything else. But we have to understand, like, we're the ones that are controlling this. So we need more conscious people behind the controls versus people that are just after profit, just profiteering people. If you're just a profiteer and you don't care the effect that it has on the civilization, well, then you'll crush an entire civilization in hopes of making a profit. Not even thinking to the future, like, this can crush the civilization, so then my profits will run out because there'll be nobody to pay me. They don't even have that foresight. But when people consciously understand what's going on and become the conscious users and implementers and tech people of these this new advancement that we have, well, then we'll consciously use it. So since we can't get it to go away, and it's not going to go away, it's not going to go by, it's not going to disappear.
Right.
We need to find a way to integrate and utilize it with conscious minds, so that we don't have a situation where Skynet comes online.
I know a lot of people talk about Skynet, and I think James was given that story.
Yeah.
In his dream, it was a dream, literally, to kind of give us a warning. But I personally don't believe that we're in that danger, because humanity has guardrails on it, and there's something protecting our journey.
Yeah.
To be honest, we shouldn't be here.
I know. We should have been gone a long time ago. A long time ago. This whole experiment should have been gone. Yeah. We should have destroyed ourselves. We got close, very close, back in the 60s. Oh, yeah.
Very, very close to finishing it all off. But even then, we were on the edge of oblivion.
The absolute edge.
I mean, literally seconds away. Did you hear the story of the one guy who it was a Russian second in command submarine commander? I heard this story. It's fascinating.
Oh, wow.
This is the actual closest we ever got to a nuclear war.
Wow.
The nuclear subs are underwater all the time, and they could live there indefinitely because they're nuclear subs. So they don't have to worry about power or anything like that. I think food is, I don't know how they do it, but they can go on for months and months and months. Well, they lost communication with the Kremlin during a weird time.
Oh, man.
And everybody we can't hear, oh my God. And they start thinking, it was the middle of the Cold War. They think, oh my God, we're at war. We should launch our rockets. And the rules were that you needed three people to agree.
Yeah.
And the one guy didn't.
Wow.
And the one guy said no. The other two said yes.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
And there was the one guy, the one commander, things like second. He's the Denzel Washington from Crimson Tide.
Oh man.
The second, he wasn't Gene Hackman. He was.
Yeah.
It was
Holy crap.
The Denzel Washington. He's like, no, we're not doing it. And because he didn't agree.
Yeah.
And they didn't shoot. But that's how close we got. Was that one guy? So you mean to tell me that how many more of those have there been that we don't know about?
Probably dozens.
Right. That we just barely made it. But yeah, we always kind of make it.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah,
so that's why I feel that we're being protected, we're being guided, we're being allowed to play in this arena. How we play, but there's guardrails.
Yeah.
Like children, when you have kids, you let them play, but you're watching them.
You're watching them.
You can't just let them.
Yeah. You don't let them go too crazy.
Don't give them a fork with a whole bunch of them open.
Outlets.
Outlets open, you know.
Toasters.
Like toasters, right? Like, no, you baby-proof a couple things.
You reel them in. You reel them in.
But I think that's where we're at. So when people say I'm scared of AI, I'm like, I don't think it's going to be the way we go.
Yeah, I'm not afraid of AI. I'm just saying we need to have more conscious people in control of the technology.
I agree.
Otherwise, there's going to be a lot of people suffering. In other words, there's like 1,000 people laid off at Amazon. Unfortunately, a lot of those people don't have any other thing that they think that they know they can do, even though they can. They don't have that. They're so limited in their belief system as to what they can actually do.
Correct.
And a lot of people aren't being. So I'm doing a podcast actually very soon, which I'm going to talk about what to do to prepare for the loss of jobs in AI, how to position yourself to still take care of your family. So I'm going to teach people there's things you can do. You just need to know it. A lot of people are like just panicking and going crazy. And crime can see a significant increase when you take away people's jobs, but leave them with all the bills.
Right.
So we have to, it's our job. It's our job to continue to educate people and give them ideas and understanding as, alternative things you can do. Oh, wow, I didn't even think about that. I just want to drop seeds on people and let it grow so that people can have an opportunity to, to pivot in this time. While it is kind of getting ready to go haywire and crazy with all the robots coming out, 800 robots at BMW, 1,000 at Amazon, and they're going to increase that number. Ford and GM are implementing robots now too. So those people,
McDonald's kiosks.
Yeah, everybody. So it's all going away. So we have to find a way to educate the people on what they can do so they don't panic and go crazy, and they can still feed and take care of their families.
But if you get a 4-year degree, you'll be fine.
No. With a student loan on top.
Yeah. I mean, because
they're going to cover the student loans.
They'll be fine. Okay. I think it'll be fine. I joke because it's such a ridiculous idea that they talk about. Like, you need a 4-year degree and you get a good job. Like that's not 1950.
All these people throwing around these degrees like it's some big thing. And most of the people with these big degrees are just working at the grocery store or whatever. I mean, it's all about, if you can find a niche, find a need in the world and fill that need. That's how you make money. You find a need and you fill it. If you can do it during your passion, if you can do it through your passion, that's even better. So if you're passionate about podcasting, which you are, right? You found a need for podcasting and knowledge and information in the world through the niche that you found here. And when you provide that need to the world, money shows up in your account as a side effect. You don't chase money, you just follow your passion.
Correct.
And so it's really the thing. And that's why I'm writing a new article. I'm a contributor to entrepreneur.com. And so I'm writing a new article just on this as well and on this whole AI thing of how to prepare and what to do so that people can just continue to get the information and get ideas and not be afraid, not be scared, and realize like, yes, there are things that I'll be able to do to continue to take care of my family and feed myself.
Everything we've been talking about and the Yuga cycles and where we're going, where do you think humanity is going spiritually first, where our consciousness is going in these next 5 to 10 years to 30 years, and because there's where we're going to go spiritually, and then where are we going to go? Period.
I think that we're still on the rise spiritually and consciously, even with a lot of the controversy and craziness that's going on the internet and social media and in the world. Even I still see an uptick. Now, this consciousness as it rises, it's going to look like a stock on the stock market. If you look at the track of stock, right? So you see the grid pattern, you see it going up, going down, the candlesticks are going up, candlesticks going down. So it's not going to be like a perfect straight line to the top. Oh, we're at the golden age. We drove straight here. It's just not going to happen that way, right? There's going to be this pattern of up and down. Eventually, what you like to see over time, that it would be more going up, even though it's going up and down, it's still heading in an upward direction. Kind of like if you look at a blue chip stock.
Sure.
Right? You look at, you go track Microsoft from 2000
Apple,
till now, or Apple 2000 till now, whatever it is, you're going to see that it's up and down, up and down, up and down, but it's still going up over time. And I think that's where we are consciously. So in 5 years, we're going to continue to see this uptick. Now, I think what's going to really help us, and this is my personal opinion and a hypothesis, it might happen, it might not happen. I don't guarantee times and dates, but there's a science kit on Mars, on the rover, okay? And this, the Perseverance rover has a science kit that's able to detect life. And I believe that Viking 1 already detected life back in the 70s, and they obfuscated that information, and the scientist behind that science kit was very angry, has gone public many, many times about it. Talking about the fact microbial life on Mars.
But that's logical.
I know, it's logical. Thank you. And that was before they admitted even water was there. They just admitted water like 7 years ago, or 8 years ago maybe.
If there's water, there's going to be something else.
There's life. So now this new kit, I believe it's going to transmit back the data, and they're going to make an announcement within 5 years. An announcement will come out that they discovered aliens, and that alien life is going to be microbial life on Mars. So that'll be the first time that they hit us with life outside of Earth. It'll be microbes. It won't be anything bigger than that, but it's a start. It's a beginning to get people to expand their mind, believing, oh, wow, wait a minute. If there's life on Mars, then there could be life anywhere.
Well, I mean, Titan, that moon, it's all water. It's like ice and...
Titan is an amazing place. I have a lot of anomalies that we discovered on Titan from the Huygens probe images on its descent down to that lake that it landed in. There's a lot of stuff there, a lot of weird, strange rocks, let's just say, that don't appear to be exactly rocks. It looks like remnants of something, but it could be an illusion. But I'm just saying, Titan should be the top destination for us for visiting and trying to figure out what's going on there.
There's a story in, I think it is, you're an expert in the Anunnaki. I'm not sure if it was the Anunnaki or the Bhagavad Gita, I got confused. That there was another planet in our solar system that was destroyed, and that is the asteroid belt that we currently have. Is
Tiamat.
Is that true?
Absolutely true. There's a planet called Tiamat. It's talked about in the Enuma Elish. Tiamat, according to the ancients, now this is before the Earth was even formed. Somebody made this statement that says, Tiamat was so beautiful that it rivaled the sun's glory, because it was a water-bearing planet with land, but a lot of water like Earth is. So when the sun shone on it, it rivaled the sun's glory. And where did they see this from? What position were they in, and what planet were they looking at it from? Because Earth didn't exist yet when the planet was whole. So somebody had a perspective of Tiamat before it blew up to make a statement like that. But then Tiamat blows up, it collides with another planetoid or another satellite of another planet, or maybe there was a war. It's conjecture. Nobody really understands or knows. It's written like a war, but it could be metaphors for planetary collisions. It blows up. A huge chunk swings away with all the life needed, the water, the life, the organic material needed for life on Earth. Recoalesces as the Earth. It tugs with it the moon. The moon was originally, according to this, a orbiting moonlet of this Tiamat, one of its moons, and so was Mars. Mars got slung into this weird elliptical orbit around the sun, which is why they said Mars looks like it used, this is astrophysicists, Mars looked like it used to be a moon of another planet, maybe the one that potentially is missing from our solar system, because the mathematics show that we're missing a planet. The asteroid belt doesn't have enough mass to account for a planet 4 to 6 times larger than Earth, but when something blows up, it blows up and out. Look to the outer edges of our solar system. We have something called an inner Oort cloud, and then we have the Oort cloud. A massive amount of debris that can create probably dozens of planets exist orbiting the sun on the outer skirts of our solar system, but still within the solar system. So that's where the missing mass, in my opinion, has gone.
So, because on a logical standpoint, where do astrophysicists say that the asteroid belt came from? Is it just a bunch of asteroids that just decided to come together in a belt? Like, is that? I don't know truly.
They say that that an object, just because of the gravitational forces, broke apart and went into orbit around the sun. But now they're starting to change their opinion on this. Some new articles just came out, maybe 2 weeks ago, where they're talking about all the mathematics and science now officially proves that something massive was in our solar system and moved because it shifted the orbit of Saturn and Uranus. It tilted, I believe, Uranus on its side. Oops, if it was Uranus, tilted it on its side. So the equator is pole to, what we would normally be pole to pole, it's going this way, pole to pole. But it really should be, of course, east and west, but it's going top to bottom, which is just crazy. And they're saying now that something, a huge body, a huge mass, somehow moved directly through the solar system and wreaked havoc on the existing orbits or the pre-orbits of the planets in our solar system. So this science is all coming out now. So they're starting to figure it out, and they're starting to release it to us little by little that, yes, something crazy happened here millions of years ago, and we're just now beginning to figure it out. They also said that if you look at one side of Mars, it's completely charred. The other side is completely smooth. And so they're thinking, hypothesizing that whatever exploded hit Mars, charred one side, tilted it on its axis 45 degrees because of the mass, and the other side had the global flood, which is why it's smooth. And now it's got this weird elliptical orbit around the sun that shows that it potentially used to orbit something else before it got its own orbit.
I didn't know about the charred aspect.
Yeah.
Half the planet is charred.
Half the planet is charred. Like this, you can see the scarring, and the other side is the smoother surface in the solar system. That's coming from Caltech and all these astrophysics, MIT, and all these people. Yeah, so it's pretty interesting that happened. So it also backs up maybe it was orbiting this Tiamat when it blew up, and the chunks hit it one side, charred it, tilted it on its axis because of the mass, and then slung it into this weird orbit around our sun, which is why we have to rendezvous with Mars every 2 years because it goes into perigee and apogee. So at its closest point, we have to rendezvous with Mars. Otherwise, it take you a long time to get to Mars.
How long, based on this story, when do you think this happened? Are we talking during human? Well, obviously during human time.
Yeah. Well, millions of years ago.
So, but if it was millions of years ago, then how did that I saw it?
That's what I'm trying to tell you. Like, it's before the Earth existed.
So who the hell? Yeah.
Who saw it, and from what position in the sky? Where were they when they saw this, and how did they get into this text? I just don't think people were laying around thousands of years ago saying, I'm going to write this sci-fi story on these tablets.
Right.
I just
watch Star Wars.
Yeah.
I'm going to chisel Star Wars down.
Get this Star Wars.
I say that all the time. I'm like, you know how long it's going to take somebody.
On. The imagination. They don't even have the words for this stuff in their vocabulary, and they're going to chisel in, wedge in with the wet clay on a stone that all this crazy sci-fi stuff. It don't add up.
Billy, so we're talking about our little planet here, and we're talking about some stories about outside of our planet, which is like Mars and its comet and all this kind of stuff. This is one little solar system.
Yeah.
This is not even our galaxy. This is a solar system. Within our galaxy,
within the galaxy.
How many solar systems are within Milky Way?
Oh, man, that could be millions.
Millions to billions.
The number's crazy. And because we have millions of suns. So each sun can have a mini solar system.
Right. So within the Milky Way galaxy, there is millions or billions, right?
It's crazy numbers.
And we are one galaxy in countless countless galaxies around the universe.
Yeah.
So the potential for other stories like this playing out.
Oh, man.
I mean, mathematically.
The numbers are
has to be.
Yeah.
Like for people to, I'm not saying ET is going to show up tomorrow, but just on a logical standpoint, there has to be something else out there.
Oh, that's no doubt about it.
It's a lot of wasted space.
It's just too, the numbers are too big.
It's massive.
If you play the odds game, the odds are there's somebody, there's something, someone out there. And it's the sheer mass. I mean, the Hubble telescope years ago took an image of the sky this big, and they calculated and counted 1 trillion galaxies.
In this?
In this. Yeah. 1 trillion, it's called the Trillion Sky Book or something like that, the Hubble Trillion Sky Book. And it's just this much, just this little sliver of the sky. They got 1 trillion galaxies out of that. Imagine what's really out there. Now, our solar system is not from the Milky Way galaxy. According to new astrophysics and new science that's just come out, they're rewriting all the astrophysics books. When you go to a dark sky and you look up with no light pollution, you see that swath of stars going across the sky. Oh, wow, that's the Milky Way galaxy. No, it's not. That is the Sagittarius dwarf galaxy being swallowed up by the Milky Way galaxy. This whole time we've been wrong. We haven't been looking at the Milky Way. We've been looking at the Sagittarius. Not the Sagittarius constellation, the Sagittarius dwarf galaxy. You'll see they'll show you how it's curved around, and as it's intersecting with the Milky Way, which is swallowing it because it's a much bigger galaxy, so gravitationally we're swallowing it, the injection point is right where our sun is located. So scientists are now believing that potentially even this entire region of this sector of the Milky Way was dropped in place, which would explain a lot of the early chaos within our inner solar system, the planets moving around, the asteroid belt, all the collisions that they believe happened, and all the rogue, they found now millions of rogue planets floating aimlessly with no suns through the Milky Way. That would all make a lot of sense, they're saying, because of this absorption of the Sagittarius
It came
dwarf.
in and just like scattered everything.
Yeah, scattered everything. Planets with no suns floating through dark space, millions of them. They call them rogue planets.
Well, didn't they just come out with, and please correct me if I'm wrong, that there is a black hole in the middle of our galaxy, and that most galaxies, if not all, the black hole is kind of like the heartbeat.
That's right.
Of that was never ever Einstein never spoke about that. To my
Supermassive black holes at the center of our galaxy and many other galaxies that exist in the known universe. It is like the heart of the galaxy. It's part of the structure.
It's the thing that it's basically the thing that holds it all together.
Yes.
And then arguably when we were talking about the yugas, the center of the galaxy is a giant black hole as well, which is putting this whole thing together.
Putting the whole thing together, man.
So I gotta ask.
It keeps a rotation too.
So I gotta ask, this whole dimension that we're in, where we're currently in, so massive. And we as souls come down here and get to play and learn and grow and experience things that we cannot experience on the other side.
Yeah.
You know, we could talk about strawberry ice cream, but until you taste it, it's very. We're here down here to taste it.
Yeah.
And get the brain freeze.
Yeah. Exactly.
And get the brain freeze. So, with all of this going on, it seems to me more and more, and I think science is starting to back this up, is that we are in a simulation.
Yeah.
We are in, it just makes the most logical sense that we are not, that this is a simulation, that we are in a giant game, if you will, at the highest level of resolution that we've ever seen.
Yeah.
And arguably, and I think Elon said this, where do you think we're going to be in 1,000 years? Yeah. Let's say just 1,000 years, technology-wise. If we just kept going, do you believe that we couldn't create, this is not going to be eventually, maybe even in our lifetime with quantum computing.
Oh, in our lifetime, we're going to do it.
That we're going to be able to create a simulation like this that's so real that you can't see the difference between our reality and the simulated reality?
Absolutely. There's a video game. One of my greatest lectures of all time was a 3.5-hour lecture at Contact in the Desert. I think it was 2017. And I talked about the fractal holographic universe, which is what the majority of my book is about. I got that data from my lecture. There's a video game called No Man's Sky. It's on one DVD. This video game is very popular. 14 college students from various different colleges got together and made this video game. It has 80 quadrillion planets and unlimited life forms, and the game never ends. It's a universe on a DVD utilizing the Mandelbrot set equation, which is a fractal mathematic equation, so that every scene creates itself as it needs to be created.
It's rendering
as you need it.
As I need it, yeah.
All the scenes, all the planets, all the life forms, the animation, everything is rendering as it's needed based on this very simple mathematical code called the Mandelbrot set. Mandelbrot equation by Benoit Mandelbrot, who discovered this. And that's what Pixar used to animate all their cartoons and everything as well. And they're talking about now injecting AI into the No Man's Sky game. Now, once AI or AGI, by that time maybe as it evolves, is inside of this universe, the people in there will become conscious. The animals will become conscious. Life will become conscious of itself. And will people in there ask, well, how did we get here? Who are we? Who's our God? Big questions to ask when people are in there, and from their perspective, they think it's real, and they think they're real because they're conscious. And so we ourselves have already created a simple universe, but like you say, when the quantum computer now is activated and online and everyone has access to it and they can build a simulation like this, then what does it say about where we are? Because we are only creating fractals of what already exists. We have created nothing new. Everything is a fractal. So we're here in this third dimension, And we believe that this is reality, but it's not reality. And we know this because atoms are 99.999% empty space. So there's truly nothing even here. This table, this microphone is nothing but light waves, frequencies slow down to a particular vibration to give us the illusion of solidity. There's nothing really here. Even our bodies aren't even here, right? So our consciousness, though, is real. But everything else is just an illusion. If we're living in, like the Hopi say, in sleepy time, like the Aboriginals say, the Aboriginals say dream time, the Hopi say sleepy time. So
Maya, great. Yeah.
The Maya, Maya, right, thank you. The two different cultures saying the same thing. This is an illusion. What does it mean? Well, on a scientific scale into quantum physics and quantum mechanics, they're saying that we live in a realm that's where everything exists in superposition of one another as waves of potentials. So everything here is a wave of light that collapses into the illusion of solidity when a conscious observer interacts. So we're living in a place that basically is a light matrix. Scientists in a laboratory setting were able to recreate or create a 8th-dimensional quasi-crystal. When they tilted it in a particular angle, it cast down a 4th-dimensional quasi-crystal. When they tilted that in a particular angle, it cast down a sphere. So they're saying that sphere would be our universe. And they're hypothesizing now that our universe itself is a light shadow, not a shadow of darkness, but a light shadow of a higher dimension. So a light shadow
of a higher dimension.
Yeah.
Trying to wrap my head around that.
I know. So it's a shadow of light. So the way that this quasi-crystal bends, this hyperdimensional quasi-crystal from the 4th dimension, it creates this universal matrix of light. Right. So it's casting down this sphere of light, which is called our universe. Hypothesis. Now this is all theory and science, but what it tells me is the possibility increases that we're probably living in some type of a very sophisticated creation, which is what all the ancient text says. All ancient culture, all ancient texts, all religious books. Guess what, guys? You were right. We're living in a creation. This fractal holographic matrix theory is just explaining the potential method used to create this reality. What are we actually really fully immersed in? We're immersed in a matrix of light, and that this is a holographic matrix. When you look at a hologram, you can see the whole image in the smallest piece. And when they zoom into reality, they find the same thing. And Professor James Gates Jr. from the University of Maryland got together with a group of mathematicians. I talk about this in my book, Fractal Holographic Universe. And they discovered something at the deepest level. They discovered these Adinkra codes, which are kind of similar to the Adinkra symbols of the Dogon tribe, that they use as patterns on clothing and bedding and everything else. But when you turn these patterns into 3-dimensional objects, they have mathematical codes hidden in them called error-correcting codes. And these error-correcting codes are the same exact error-correcting codes used in search engines and web browsers. So, at the fundamental base of our universe, guiding this process of reality, are the same codes that run websites and search engines. Why did that happen? Yeah. Because we're living, what we're putting out is a fractal of what already exists. We can only recreate what already exists. We can't recreate anything new. We can't develop anything. To us, it's new from our perspective. Oh, quantum computers, we got one. We made it. We made the very first quantum. No, we didn't. That's been done a long time ago, somewhere else. We're only recreating a fractal of what already is imbued into every atom in our body. The knowledge, the memory, the information, the data, and it also exists out here in this this realm, right? This energetic grid that we're living on. So sometimes you get a download, you get information in, you discern it, and you create.
But would you agree that information only comes down when we are at a frequency or a vibration that can accept that information? Because you give a quantum computing information to Alexander the Great, not so much.
No.
They can't, they're not there yet.
Yes.
They're not there yet. So as we are evolving consciously on a spiritual level,
right,
and our frequency is going up, we're starting to get access more. That's why technology is growing so freaking fast, because we are raising our frequency to start being able to tap in to the universal cloud.
This information comes to us when we're ready, not as we're 100% ready for it, but in a term, in an example would be that we're ready technologically. Somebody can discern it, somebody can work it and put it together. The majority of people can utilize this technology. Some people may never get access to it, but it happens at a time where we're relatively within a ready period of time, a time frame of readiness to actually handle and utilize and create. You try to bring a quantum computer, like you say, 100 years ago, horse, buggy, and carriage. What are you talking about?
Talking about this stuff, you would have been thrown into a loony bin.
Yeah, they burn you at the stake in some places, right?
Yeah,
this guy's heresy. So yes, we are getting this information because we're getting to a higher frequency. When you look at the nuclear bomb, for example, people think that Oppenheimer and these people just developed a nuclear bomb. They came up with the idea and they developed this nuclear bomb. About 14 important people along the way from the 1930s all the way to 1945 had something to do with the nuclear science to get to the point where you can actually make the bomb. Whether it was Curie and her husband, which worked on, nuclear radiation, and somebody else came in and they worked Einstein, on fission. Yeah. Then, you had, it's like 14 people, Einstein with his calculations. Then somebody got the idea, downloaded it, and go, oh, okay.
Let's put all this together.
Yes. Let's take it all and put it all together. And now we have the nuclear bomb. That's how it worked. It wasn't just this guy came up, I'm going to take a little bit of science, mathematics, and we're going to come up with a nuclear bomb. Right. Somebody had already worked on fission a decade prior to him doing that.
Right.
All these concepts and ideas and science was already laid out, but it was all over the place.
Let me ask you this. I had this thought the other day because I love studying Hollywood and media. It's been I've been in the business for such a long time. And for my other podcast that I did before, I would study where everything was going. And I was talking about what's happening now with the kind of collapse in many ways of the industry. But I think something that people haven't really kind of grabbed onto yet, maybe they have, and this kind of goes along with what I'm talking about, is AI video right now is really good.
Yeah.
It's getting better daily. You could still tell it's AI.
Yeah.
But just like all this technology, look, this room would have cost $10 million.
Yeah. Oh, for real.
Back in the day.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Now it's still, it's a professional room.
But it's affordable.
But it's affordable for a normal, just someone. Yeah. Same thing happened with podcasting in general. Even if you're at home, Zoom, all that. Yeah. So this technology got cheaper where it became available to everybody. I believe that visual effects and the ability to tell grandiose stories like Star Wars will be put in the hands of everybody to be able to create stories at a visual level that is at the same level as what Hollywood could put out for millions of dollars, or hundreds of millions of dollars. A kid will be able to put out who's talented at that same price. So we're kind of creating our reality, if you will. Do you agree with this?
Oh, I agree 1,000%. I mean, Tyler Perry, he was getting ready to buy $1 billion facility. I think it was $800 million by the time you had the tax.
Stages and all that stuff,
He said, wait a minute, this AI stuff is getting this Sora or something like that. Yeah, he said, I'm not going to pay for this. This technology is coming out, this software is coming out to cut costs. I'm not going to buy $1 billion facility right now. Let's see where this technology takes us. So this guy's a billionaire off of making films. Now, if he decided that this AI tech is going to replace a lot of jobs in Hollywood and save him a lot of money, then you have to take notice to that and say, well, he's probably right. There's a reason why he didn't do it. So, I think that this AI technology is going to come out. It's already out, but it's going to get better and better. And it's going to give a lot of people the ability to create and showcase their talents, which would be their creativity in their mind. So they'll be able to take what's in their mind and put it into a system that will then give them the visual effect of what they were thinking.
Or the footage,
The footage, and if they can put it together skillfully in a way that makes sense, that's coherent, and it's entertaining, then they can become a hit.
Did you ever see the trailer, Redneck Harry Potter?
I didn't see that, no.
Man.
Redneck Harry Potter.
It's literally a trailer for Harry Potter.
Wow.
But in the swamps of the Everglades.
Oh, no, you got to be kidding me.
And, it's great. I was saying, it's absolutely brilliant. If you're anyone looking, just look up Redneck Harry Potter, the trailer.
Wow.
And I saw a talk the other day at a summit, and they said, this is the worst it's ever going to look.
Wow.
This is the worst it's ever going to look.
Oh, man.
And I looked at it, and I was just sitting there like,
wow.
I mean, you could still tell, but holy crap, man.
Wow.
So good. You can literally see Daniel Radcliffe all buffed out in a redneck in a trailer, then, flying and doing that. It was brilliant.
Wow.
But you could just see where it's all going. And it goes along with our conversation of if we're able to do this with this, I mean, does this even make sense?
Yeah, I know, right?
It's the allegory of the cave.
Yes, that's right.
It's the allegory of the cave.
We're looking at shadows on the wall from a fire that's behind us, but somebody, when they get out of the cave and get the full perspective, they come back and say, hey, man, there's a lot more going on out here. It's getting ready to be incredible, and I'm glad that you and I are both in the streaming TV business as well, because, we'll be able to open up our platform with the platform that we're using and allow creators to come in and give them their own login and let them create, and we can approve their creations. But we're in the right field, man. Yeah,
I think eventually, that's where the studios are all upset because the power is, they're losing. They have lost it already in many ways.
Hollywood's empty.
Yeah, and mass media and all that kind of stuff, with shows like this and other popular podcasts and other popular, it's only a matter of, I'd say within the next 5 years. I think before this decade's over. It's going to come.
Before the decade's over for sure. There's going to be
some massive changes.
Super massive changes. A lot of these sound stages are going to end up, going out of business. Maybe they'll convert those sound stages into areas where people can come and create, or something.
I'll tell you what. When I was in LA a little while ago, and I took my family on the Warner Brothers tour. I haven't been on the Warner Brothers tour in like 15 years. So it upgraded since I did it. I did it was like a little rinky-dink thing. Now it's like a beautiful thing you see. And I'm walking around looking at all this on the back lot of Warner Brothers. I'm like, oh my God, it's dinosaurs.
Yeah, it is.
It's like it's dinosaur land. It was really sad.
It's an age gone by.
It was really sad because they show you this like 6 or 7 minute little like video about the history of all the films, and I just started like crying because all these amazing stories, amazing films that we grew up with. I'm like, my God, it's kind of over.
It's ancient history.
That stuff is
we're ancient, man. We're 70s babies.
Yeah, baby. Gen X, baby, Gen X. But it's sad to see that go, and it's moving so much faster than we were before.
I know.
I want to ask you about consciousness. We touched upon consciousness a little bit in this conversation, but what effect does consciousness have on our own reality?
It has an amazing effect, really, because what we're thinking and what we believe becomes our reality. So we're co-creating reality moment by moment, just like a pixel moves across the screen of a TV moment by moment, as it moves from one pixel to the next pixel to give you the illusion of an image. It's the same way we're creating our reality in the third dimension in this fractal holographic matrix. So when we think, a lot of people think that their silent thoughts have no power, that they're not affecting their reality even by silent thoughts, but you are. Because when you think, your thoughts leave your skull. And they leave, and we know they leave because if I put an EEG cap on you and connect that EEG cap to a computer and tell you to think about something, I can see your thoughts on a computer screen. So that your thoughts don't stay in here. They leave. But they also leave here, but they come into your body because your brain's here. So everything's leaving in every direction, right? Omnidirectional. Those thoughts and vibrations, those waves go into your body, and they excite your cells. So your cells will celebrate to the frequency that you're on consciously. So when you're thinking to yourself, I suck, I'm horrible, I'm no good at that.
Life is hard.
Sure. I'll never afford this. I'll never be able to do that. Your body is taking that information digitally, on a wave frequency, and it's converting it into your cell vibrations. And those cell vibrations then coordinate with your mitochondria, and all your gut bacteria and your biome, which is like another brain by itself, for all the organisms living in your body, and they get on the same frequency, the frequency of what you were thinking, the frequency of failure, the frequency of loss, the frequency of depression. So just in that simple explanation, you're saying that your thoughts, and what I'm saying right now isn't conspiracy or woo-woo. That's actually coming from real biologists and scientists.
Sure.
Anybody can look this information up. It's well documented now. It's not even like hard to find. Yeah. It's not hard to find.
Yeah.
But so we know that these thoughts are having a direct effect on the physiology. They do this in placebo tests all the time. You go in for a placebo experimental drug. They give some people a water pill, and they give some people the real medicine. And a lot of the times the people who got the water pill end up getting cured or seeing a better result if they didn't get cured, and it just was a placebo. The brain consciously told them, oh, I'm healed. And the body went into full effect and healed itself.
But it's because they truly believed it.
They believe it.
They have to truly believe
exactly.
it on a very deep level.
On a very deep level. That's why when somebody comes down with cancer, it's very important for them to stay positive and think positive thoughts.
You've got 3 months.
Right.
Done.
That's done. And when doctors do that, they kill people.
Absolutely.
I hate to say that. You can't. I mean, there's got to be another way to implement the discussion versus just coming out and saying, "Oh, you got 3 months to live." And I personally know 2 people that died that way. It was a husband and a wife. They told the husband he only had 3 weeks to live. He went in with some gut pain and his stomach had really become bloated, and he died exactly 3 weeks. And unfortunately, shout out to my friend Terrence from Miami Norland High School. His parents were great people. His mom, same exact thing, and then she passed away. I was like, that's crazy. But once you're told, and you see one go, you see somebody go down, and you see, you hear it and you feel it, and now you're being told the same thing. So it's just like, wow. So our thoughts really control. Now, if you're on the opposite side, if you're positive, you're high frequency, high vibration, if you believe that you can, if you don't know something, that you can learn it. I can learn this. I can become better. It's a way of flipping away the way of thinking. Instead of I suck, I can become better. I don't know this now, but I can learn it. I'm going to put an extra effort in. I'm blessed. I'm incredibly. My family is incredible. All these kind of thoughts, affirmations that you can speak on yourself. Scientists prove that if you do this 3 times a day out loud for 21 days, your DNA begins to rewrite itself. DNA, or you can rewrite your programming code on the genetic level by speaking positive. So your mind, your consciousness has a direct effect on your body. And of course, the work with Masaru Emoto with the water. Our bodies are 70% water. So why would the water in our bodies not react the same as the waters in that experiment? So if you're thinking positive thoughts, the water in your body is going to be positive.
And so everyone who doesn't know that documentary, doesn't know that work, is when he actually did an experiment where he would put bottles of water, and I think he would write on. I think it was write on love. Another one would write hate. Another one hate anger or something like that. And they structure overnight. Literally overnight, he would come and put them underneath the microscope, and they had changed. The one that said love was beautiful. The one that had hate was all jagged and stuff.
It's incredible.
It's insane.
Yeah. So if the water in our body is going to respond like that, it's best for us to always have positive thoughts, or as much as possible.
From my understanding of the other side, when we are not in this form, from near-death experiencers that I've spoken to, everything happens at the speed of thought. You think something and it's just there. It's instant. When we're down here, we have the same ability, but this is a denser reality. So it's a bit slower on getting it. So like if I'm like, I want to really go to Europe. Well, on the other side, you'd just be in Europe. Here, things have to start putting into place for you if you truly are focusing on it. I want a trip to Europe, and things start falling into place to you to get that. Is that fair?
Absolutely right. So if you look at the experiments that have been done with the time delay in reality, so there's a few of them, but one of them that really stuck out to me was when scientists put people in different rooms, and they put big screens in front of them. And actually at that time it was projector screens. But they would put up, they had an EEG cap connected to a computer. They were trying to map the emotions of a person from happiness, sad, excited, joyful on a computer. And that was the original experiment. But what happened was every 10 seconds they would show a different image. And the screen would show an image of a woman nursing a baby, an image of a field of flowers, an image of people dying in a war. So this would create different thought patterns and show up on the screen. After a few runs through this, they started noticing something crazy. The brain was sending to the computer what the next image emotion was going to be up to 7 seconds before it showed up.
Yeah, I heard about this,
And they're going, wait a minute, how? So they replicated this experiment over and over again, and there seems to be a delay between the time that we actually think we process information and the time we actually get the information. So that means that we're not living in real time. We're living in this, so there's even an extra delay on top of what you were talking about. There's a delay to experience even reality itself. And to take it to another level, I'm looking at you right now, but now I'm seeing you as you were. Because it took time for the photon to bounce off of you, get to my retina, go to my brain, pre-process, for my brain to project an image of what I think you look like or what you were doing. And by that time, you've already moved. Right? So there's no real time here. The only thing we can do here is we can get closer to real time through higher levels of consciousness instead of waiting for the wave of reality to crash over us and then recognize, oh, I'm in this moment, we learn how to surf on the waves, okay? That's the trick. The trick is the people who become the real gurus and the real sages and the masters,
like these guys,
those people are surfing. They're not waiting for the wave of reality to crash over. They're not standing at the shoreline, oh, a wave just crashed over me. Oh, I'm sitting in a podcast room talking to Alex Ferrari, right? They're surfing on the wave, and that gets you closer to real-time knowledge. Basketball players do this. Michael Jordan, when they ask him, how do you do this? They say, he says, the people on the court, they slow down. Everything slows down. They call that getting in the zone.
Right.
He's surfing. He's surfing the consciousness wave, and he's closer to real time. Everything else is going at normal speed, but he's moving at a faster pace because he's closer to the real time. He can maneuver through people like they weren't standing there or they weren't even moving at him because he already knows what they're going to do because he's closer to the real time information.
Like the Flash.
Exactly, like the Flash. Correct, just like the Flash. And so that's a real thing. They call that a meditation. You know, high level athletes are in a meditation when they get into the zone.
Gretzky said the same thing. He's like, how do you get to the puck? He goes, I just go where the puck is going to be.
Boom. Yes.
He said that. So like, that's how do you beat everybody else? I go where the puck is going to be.
Yes.
Not where it was.
Exactly.
And such a powerful statement.
Yeah.
I think if we all translate that to our lives as well, we can evolve faster.
Yes.
Much faster.
We can.
Let me just ask you, man. Do you think we're gonna make it, man? I mean, there's a lot of crap going on in the world. Like we talked about earlier, we were on the edge. Multiple times. How many times daily are we on the edge? We don't even know.
We're on the edge a lot. But
what do you think?
Like
man?
you said, there's a caretaker.
Okay.
There's a caretaker. If you look back to 2001, an incident. I know you people don't talk about UFOs a lot here, but I just want to mention something briefly to give some people a perspective of how safe we are, how safe I believe we are. 2001, the Press Club aired on CNN in the middle of the day. Dr. Stephen Greer had, I forget how many scientists, nuclear scientists, rocket scientists, military police, former military police, guards. These are all military people, retired Air Force. They came on and testified, every one of them, right there live in Washington, D.C., that at these nuclear flights, a flight is in a place where they have the nuclear silos, the missiles located, ICBMs and everything. They're way out in the middle of nowhere, all over the world. But all over the world, in broad daylight, that these objects would show up at the flights. And they had procedures as to when these things showed up, what they had to do. Not only did they show up, but they hacked into the nukes and deactivated the nukes, deactivated the nuclear codes. And this is from official people, to hear these officers and the former officers make these statements from their own mouths. Not only in one place, but in dozens of places they showed up and hacked into the nukes and deactivated them. The hardest job to get in the world is to have the codes to the nukes. Yeah. So when the guy stands up and he's speaking, then this guy had to go in and reactivate them. So he knows the codes. That's the hardest job to get in the world. When he comes up and says this and testifies to the world that this happened, you have to pay attention. This is the hardest job to get literally in the world. The world's life is in your hands when you activate nuclear devices. And he says these things showed up and deactivated the nukes. That's a message they were sending us. The message is, you're not going to destroy yourselves. You're not going to destroy this planet. You might destroy some of yourselves, but you're not going to destroy this planet. We need this planet. And I believe that there's somebody, like you say, watching over us. And that isn't the first time that something like that has happened, but that was the most memorable one for me. And I just believe that mankind is, we're on the precipice, yes. We're always on the precipice, though. But I believe that we have a certain level of guidance, and there is a caretaker. I think that we are we're being allowed to make mistakes.
Like a child.
Like a child. At some point, you can't protect and shield your child from everything. Sometimes your child has to make some mistakes. Because if they don't make their own mistakes, they won't learn. You know, it's not enough to keep yelling at them and grabbing them and telling them no and stop. At some point, you have to let them learn something on their own. And we're in that stage. And mankind, like I talked about before, is crawling right now. We're trying to crawl. We're making some crawls. We're doing, but then we plop down on our bellies. And everybody goes, oh, that's all over. Everything's coming to an end. No, be patient. The baby will get up and crawl again. But it will crawl over to the edge of a chair or a table and pull itself up and stand up. That's where we're heading. We got to get to the point where we actually pull ourselves up and stand up. But then what does the baby do next? The baby takes a few steps. mankind is going to take some steps. Within the next 10, 15, maybe 20 years, we're going to take some big steps, but we're going to fall again almost right away.
As you would.
And then the baby's going to cry, like it's so bad. I fell down. Oh my God. It's not really hurt. The baby's just shocked that it fell, right?
Right.
But what does the baby do? It crawls over again, maybe the next day or so, and it pulls itself up again, and it takes a few more steps. But this time, it falls after a few more steps, but it doesn't cry that much anymore. The baby realizes that this is normal, and eventually it stands up and it begins to walk normal. Mm-hmm. And when the baby gets up and begins to take normal walking steps, it's controlling its fall. And that's the definition of walking, controlling your fall. So mankind will learn how to control this fall. We're heading in the right direction. We have a caretaker that's helping us. And I think that the future for humanity is going to be bright.
It's just going to take a minute.
It's going to take a minute. We have to be patient. We have to realize that we are going to continue to make mistakes here and there. We're going to realize that the mainstream and the dogma and everything else that's out there is going to be, they're in their death throes. So they're going to kick and scream and fight, and they're going to do everything they can to try to hold on to the old ways as long as they possibly can. But they're going to lose their grip.
They're losing it.
Oh, they're big time. That's why they're kicking and screaming.
They're losing
And as they lose that grip, the new consciousness is going to take over this planet, and a mass number of people are going to hit that certain level of consciousness, and it's over for the rest. Everything else is going to go up from there.
Do you believe that there's going to be an event, another like 2020, where we had the pandemic? That event stopped the world.
Yeah,
I've never heard of anything like that.
Yeah.
In our time.
Yeah.
In written history.
First time I've seen that.
In written history that we know of, at least, even within the last 6,000 years, the entire planet felt something at the exact same time. Not off in the region.
Right.
The whole planet stopped.
The whole planet.
Literally stopped for a few weeks.
I know.
We just stopped.
Yeah.
Dolphins came back to Venice.
Yeah, it's crazy. There's only one time in history that I can't name the exact date because it's just, it would be an estimate. But if you look all around the world at these megalithic sites, you see unfinished construction all of a sudden, all around the same time.
Younger Dryas.
Yes, Younger Dryas.
Sure.
So that would be an incident where maybe everything stopped at that one time.
But that wasn't communicated, at least that we know of, to the entire planet.
No.
We all knew what was happening because of our technology.
We knew. Because of technology, we absolutely knew.
So is there another event coming, in your opinion, that's going to rock us again? Because that rocked us.
That rocked us pretty good.
I mean, economic. It could be. it could be environmental. What do you think?
Yeah, I just think that every 8 to 10 years something new pops up. I mean, they got something new. They have a problem for every solution. So there'll be I remember when we had the 2000 bug.
Oh, well, of course, the Y2K, baby.
The Y2K.
Did you ever see that movie? Oh,
I didn't see the movie.
Oh, that movie's genius.
Yeah, I got to check it out.
Oh, it's a made-for-TV movie back in the day.
I got to check it out.
It's called Y2K. Oh,
yeah,
horrible.
Check it out.
So bad.
Oh, man. Okay, we had the Y2K bug, and people went crazy or whatever. Then we had the
Mayan calendar.
The Mayan calendar collapse of 2012, and the end of the world's coming, which is really just the beginning of a new age. And then you had I think we had a swine flu at some point with Obama, which was kind of crazy, pandemic-ish, but not quite. And then, of course, we had the collapse of the real estate market. So it just keep coming with something here and something there. So can I say that there'll be no more things? I don't think so. There's going to be something. I don't know if it'll be just as big as this one was, because I think a lot of people learned something from this.
Oh, it woke up a lot of people.
It woke up people who weren't even trying to wake up. They weren't even in the wake-up category.
When you're locked in your house for 5 months
or
6 months, and you got nothing to do but think, that'll do it.
That'll do it, man. That will do it. An idle mind with just focusing on the situation and themselves and their family and everything else, and nothing to do but read and research and ask questions and look for answers. And I just believe that the people of the world will not allow that to happen again. It might happen regionally, maybe in certain areas. Globally, it'd be tough to really do it again.
What do we need to do between now and this golden age? What do we need to do to get to that golden age?
I think that we just need to keep operating in the spirit of love. We need to keep seeing our brother as our and sister as our family, regardless of race, creed, or color, where they come from, or anything else. That we need to learn how to help one another. That we need to learn how to organize with each other and improve our existing situations. In other words, people in communities, stop waiting for the government to come and clean up your community or fix this and fix that. people in your communities, you guys get together and create your own community, fix your own community up. Stop waiting for government or officials or politricksers to come in and do it. It's all about community building and development and interacting and growing and helping. We need to organize all over the world, and people need to realize that we all need to come together and help each other. You know, when hurricanes used to come hit Florida every 5 minutes.
Oh, I know.
We all went around helping people put their shutters up.
When Wilma hit, I was there with Wilma. I was there with Andrew and Wilma.
Wow. Whew.
And I remember what happened. You just walk around. You were just like, let's cut the woods down. What do you need? You need water?
Thank you.
Let's all get together. There's no power, so let's put out the barbecue and warm up some water for everybody so we can all take some sort of bath or shower.
That's it.
Because, FEMA ain't coming.
Exactly. They're not coming. Stop waiting for them.
When they showed up, they were useless.
Yeah, you paint your house address on your house. Remember that? And all that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because there's no street signs and everything. Hey, look, we have to help. We have to get back to that spirit. Mm-hmm. That's the spirit of humanity. The spirit of service to others, love and help, regardless of who you are, where you came from, or what you've been through. And when we get back to that mindset globally, this whole plan's going to shift, man. I think we can do it. Some people, it'll never happen. That's because you don't believe it will happen. But it's happened before, and if something that happened before, it can happen again.
But what we're going through right now, none of this should be around. No. None of this should be here.
Yeah.
All this technology, all this stuff, it shouldn't be here.
I know.
We've done this within 120 years.
I know. Horse, buggy, and carriage are putting remote control cars in space.
I mean, within 100 years. Yeah. So something has happened in this last century plus that we've been able to do what we've been able to do. And I always say this, and I think you would agree. Everything that we have as far as our technology is concerned has always been here. Mm-hmm. All the raw materials have been here. No asteroid came with some magical, what is the Wakandan?
Vibranium or whatever?
Vibranium. Nothing came that gave us this technology. No. It's all been here. We've now just accessed more information and have been able to use that information, downloads, if you will, from the field. Yeah. To be able to create what we've created, and it's just going faster and faster and faster.
It's escalating like crazy right now. The amount of cures that are coming out for things,
right?
Going against big pharma.
Oh yeah,
because
that's coming down.
It's coming down. It can't. No empire persists forever. None.
I mean, Rome was around for over 1,000 years.
Yeah, but they're gone.
Yep.
So read a history book. At some point, that empire will collapse. It's just a natural order of things.
Because it's a cycle.
Yes.
Everything in life is a cycle. Life is a cycle.
Yeah.
You're born, you live, you die, and so on. Everything on this planet has a cycle. Yeah. Nothing is permanent.
That's right.
Nothing. Even the planet itself, this solar system, this sun, will eventually go through its cycle.
That's right. In 5 billion years, the sun is going to turn into a red giant, swallow up the Venus, Mercury, Earth, Mars, and Ceres, and swallow them up, and then it's going to probably shrink down to it might not be a black hole. Our sun might not have enough nuclear fusion to turn into a black hole, but it might turn into a white dwarf, is what the scientists are saying now, which is just a gigantic, heavy mass, but still significantly smaller than our sun, with not enough power to power the entire solar system, which means everything in our solar system will die.
And that will happen.
Yeah.
Scientifically, we've already established that is what will happen. Yeah. So everything goes in a cycle.
Yes.
Everything goes in a cycle.
Yeah.
I always just find it so fascinating that we get so caught up in our little dramas here.
Yeah. No.
And
on the grand scheme of things.
Like Alan Watts once, the great Alan Watts said.
Oh, yeah.
He said, in 100 years, there'll be strangers in your house.
Mm-hmm. Facts, man.
I mean, in 100 years, there'll be strangers in your house.
Yeah.
If you're even remembered by any of your offspring or the generations back, it'll be a miracle.
Yes. It's a fact.
I mean, for the majority of us.
For the majority of us, your name will never even be brought up.
Yeah. We a lot of people in media think they're all big and bad and I've been in this big movie.
Yeah.
Do you think anyone's going to remember Titanic in 1,000 years, 2,000 years? No one's going to know who Leonardo DiCaprio is.
I know. When you look at Star Trek, they don't even have TVs anymore.
Right. You're right. In Star Trek, they don't have TVs.
Live performances every now and then, and poetry.
Well, they do have a holodeck.
They have a holodeck, which is pretty cool.
I'll take
the holodeck over TV, though.
Yeah, I mean, the holodeck is getting pretty. Yeah, we're getting close.
Yeah. I talk about it in my new book, Fractal Holographic Universe, because they have the hollow floor now, which allows you to move and walk without going anywhere.
Yes.
Disney developed it, and there's another developer as well. So once you put that into a room that's fully immersed, and you have the 3D imagery that allows you to get the touch and feel because of utilizing the way that they're setting up the electrons and everything in these illusions,
50 years from now, where are we, man? Come on.
Man, it's Star Trek.
No, in 50 years, we're Star Trek.
Yeah, we're Star Trek.
50 years in that sense. I'm not sure we'll be able to fly.
Yeah.
There's no warp speed, I don't think yet.
They have an Alcubierre drive, which operates on the warp drive concept. Mm-hmm. And it's been tested in the laboratory. So the only thing that's stopping us from creating a stable warp field is enough antimatter. Antimatter right now, it costs, I forget how many $1 billion per,
ounce
or some grams or whatever the heck it is. It's some crazy number, so expensive. But in the future, that'll be nothing. It'd be easy to generate antimatter.
Billy, I'm going to ask you those same questions I ask every time, my friend. What is your definition of living a fulfilled life?
Living a fulfilled life for me right now is just really enjoying and loving my family. I have a beautiful family. My wife, Elizabeth, is just an amazing woman. She saved my life several times already. She's very caring, nurturing, and she's very protective, and she has my back, And our son, Gabriel, who's my stepson, but I love him like my own son, just amazing. And, the rest of my family as well. But I'm talking about just the family that's in my house at this time. A lot of my kids are all grown up and moved out. They have their own kids. They got grandchildren and everything else. I love them dearly. I'm just talking about this new family, and even the extended family, just living in peace, tranquility, happiness, loving one another, caring for one another, helping one another. It's just very important to me. That's really living a fulfilled life.
If you had a chance to go back in time, speak to little Billy, what would you say?
If I can go back in time, I would tell Billy to care for himself more, take more time, self-love, smell the roses a little bit more along the way. This life goes by so fast, and I worked so hard and I grinded so hard to come out of abject poverty that I didn't smell a lot of roses on the way. I'm starting to now, but there's a lot of roses that I didn't smell, man. I didn't really get a chance to enjoy some of the journey. So I'd go back and tell Billy, like, hey, man, just take some time for yourself,
Wasn't it like 1985 yesterday?
Oh, man. Blink of a freaking eye. 1984 Olympics, I'm still remembering that.
Yeah, man.
Mary Lou Retton.
Oh, yeah. Come on. Michael Jackson was God.
Oh, man. It was
back then,
days.
Man. I mean, people can't even understand what it was.
Breakdancing.
I was in New York when that came out.
Oh, man.
I was in New York from 74 to 84.
Wow.
So for those 10 years, I was walking the streets seeing, like in the Bronx, because I had family in the Bronx, like with some cardboard on the floor, and they were dancing.
Piece of cardboard, that's all you need. Piece of cardboard, man.
Back in the day, the B-boys. How do you find God?
I think that you find God by going to inner space.
Define.
Oh,
yes.
define.
And find.
And find. I define God as a universal consciousness that permeates everything, not only in this universe, but also throughout the potential multiverse. I believe that God is the creator of all, creator of everything that exists, and is the master programmer of this matrix that we're living in, and that God not only inhabits the universe or the multiverse, but also inhabits every individual atom in our body. And that we ourselves are nothing more than a fractal of God itself. And our consciousness is also a fractal of the God consciousness. So we, in essence, are divine, and God is in us, and we're inside of God. And God is living life through us subjectively to know what it's like to be Billy Carson, to know what it's like to be Alex Ferrari, to know what it's like to be a blade of grass, or even an atom inside this microphone.
What is love?
Love is a frequency of service to others, of empathy, of understanding, of forgiveness, of joy, peace, tranquility. All the high vibrational frequencies that exist can be summarized by the word love, and it's our job to access that frequency and live within that frequency, to seek that frequency and operate within it.
And what is the ultimate purpose of life?
I believe the ultimate purpose of life for us is to learn here. We're on a proving ground, a learning ground, a place where we can come as children, as we talked about, and make mistakes and learn from those mistakes and grow from those mistakes and learn how to forgive ourselves for those mistakes and also forgive others.
And where can people find out more about you and the amazing work you're doing in the world, sir?
Well, you can go to our TV network, forbiddenknowledge.tv, and we have about 3,800 episodes of content up there now, incredible content, and also, of course, forbiddenknowledge.com with the number 4. And check out our website for all of our books, e-commerce products, everything else. We have music. We have so much stuff going on. And, of course, our podcast on the Forbidden Knowledge Podcast Network on YouTube. Check us out.
And do you have any parting messages for the audience?
Yes. I would just say everything that we say here is not for you to believe in, but for you to go and research. We have to get to a point now in this world where we become our own investigators, that we look into things ourselves. And like I always say, don't believe what I say, research what I say. It's important for everyone to not prop up people and just take all their information as word, but to actually begin to ask questions ourselves and look for those answers to those questions. And also for everyone to begin to work on becoming solutions providers, provide solutions to problems. A lot of us, and I've got caught in this too, just complaining about problems and issues, but not really seeking solutions to the problems. If everybody, starts to work on finding solutions to problems, then we all bear the cross. And then we all begin to change this world on a moment-by-moment basis.
Billy, I absolutely love having these conversations with you, man. I could talk to you for another 4 or 5 hours, but I know you're the most interesting man in the world. I know you're flying out somewhere before the ice storm hits.
Yes.
But I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you fighting the good fight out there and,
thank you.
And putting out the world and helping awaken the planet. So thank you, my friend.
Thank you. Appreciate you, man.
Thanks for watching. Click on one of the videos below to continue your journey, and don't forget to subscribe.